Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about another recent Criterion release, Blu-ray release from November 2nd. I'm trying to go through, catch up with all the recent releases in time for the Barnes & Noble half price sale. And this is a 1954 film called Strada, directed by Federico Fellini. Now this is a single Blu-ray edition, but it's the same restoration and print that is on the Fellini box set that Criterion released last year, and I bought it last year in the November Barnes & Noble sale. And there's a little bit difference in the supplements, but I'll get to that at the end. But Strada was Fellini's first worldwide success. This is his fourth film, his third solo directing effort. He had been noticed, but with this film, he has tremendous success in the United States. It's the winner. Strada wins the first Best Foreign Film Oscar. As he does, he wins the second one as well with the following year with Nights of Cabiria. And a lot of the success of this film is due to the character of Gelsomina, played by Federico Fellini's wife, Giulietta Messina. She has got a childlike, trusting attitude. She takes a lot of abuse, and people just grew to love her. When they were in America for the Academy Awards, Walt Disney unsuccessfully tried to convince Fellini to sell the rights to the Strada. He wanted to make an animated version of it, and mostly this is due to the appeal of the character of Gelsomina. She is working as an assistant to a itinerant circus strongman played by Anthony Quinn, and he is a brute. This is really kind of a Beauty and the Beast kind of film, somewhat variation of that story. But Gelsomina's sister had originally been Zampano's assistant. In the beginning of the film, Zampano comes to tell Gelsomina's mother that her daughter Rosa, who he had bought from her in a previous year, had passed away. And the mother almost immediately says, "Well, here's my other daughter, Gelsomina. You know, maybe you can take her." But she seems a little bit slow. She seems kind of naive, and he only reluctantly agrees to take her, and again he sort of buys her from her mother, and you know, he shows his brutality right away. The first night he rapes Gelsomina. He treats her brutally throughout their relationship. But surprisingly enough, Gelsomina becomes this very popular performer. When she learns her role in the act that she plays with Zampano's strongman act, the audiences embrace her. She has a Chaplin-esque quality, comedy dell'arte, and Messina is really good at it. Fellini had told her, just think about what you thought about life when you were 10 years old. and she effectively is able to draw on those memories. And so but the brutal treatment of her is tough to take. I think it was probably tough to take for audiences in 1954, but in 2021, it's really tough to take because she stays with him. I mean, what was her opportunity? Where else was she going to go? But she does try to escape, and there's another character in the movie called the Fool, and he's played by Richard Basehart, another American actor. And he tells her a fable of the pebble, that even the pebble has a purpose in life, and your purpose in life is to love Zampano, and no matter what. And she kind of sees that, and she kind of wants to convince herself that deep down, even though he treats her brutally, he really does care about her. It's a complicated relationship, and I guess I have to confess right here that I have very little patience and very little interest to spend a whole lot of time with these kinds of toxic male characters, narcissistic to the max. But Fellini kind of insists that we view him tragically. In the final act, we're supposed to pity him. That he has these moments. He is a male that's unable to communicate his feelings. That he has an epiphany of self-realization. I don't buy it. To me, these kind of narcissistic, especially these kind of abusers, they don't really have. I'm not convinced that they have this level of they have this kind of tragic dimension to them. But that's up to everybody else, for everybody to decide for themselves. And Fellini is a director who is consistent with his interest in these toxic men. In I Vitelloni, his previous film, he concentrates in the second half of that film. He concentrates on the womanizer, and these are exaggerations. And Fellini's characters basically become exaggerations, and eventually they morph into being sort of they lose almost all their recognizably human qualities. They become grotesques. But even if you don't care that much for Fellini's characters, there's a visual design to his films that is absolutely magnificent. And Strada, I think, part of the influence of Strada outside of Gelsomina is the great atmosphere of his visual eye. He had been a graphics artist, a cartoonist, and he really brings it. He has a very unique style. And even in a later film like Fellini's Satyricon, where the storyline and the characters are just totally uninteresting, I mean, it's a big bore. But I remember when I saw it in the movie theater, I mean, it was just the use of color, the visual design is just absolutely fantastic. And this is, I think, for me at least, in my engagement with Fellini, it's the visual design that I go for. That I think David Thompson said that there are no characters in Fellini movies, just caricatures, and Orson Welles I think said something to the fact that Fellini was a magnificent artist who had nothing to say. Perhaps a little bit overstated, but there is a variety of responses to Fellini's films, and not all of them are positive. So in the extras, we get the introduction by Martin Scorsese, and this too is on the box set disc. And you don't really need that introduction to see the relationship between Zampano and, say, Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull. I have a similar problem with in drawing much interest in the toxic men of Martin Scorsese's world as much as Fellini's. But then we have a commentary, and this commentary is by Peter Bordella, and he wrote a book called The Films of Fellini, Federico Fellini, which I read, and very good book. And we get, and the commentary is very good. It's a little dry, a little academic, but boy, it's full of useful information, and it kind of brings to play what Fellini himself admitted was there's a whole lot of Fellini in some of these toxic men. He was a womanizer. He didn't treat, I also read a biography of Fellini. He really didn't treat Giulietta Messina very well. They too had a complicated relationship, and he would publicly humiliate her on the set. He was just sadistic towards her, and people in the crew would have to go to him and tell him, you have to let up on Giulietta. It's too much. Fellini would say, "Oh no, she understands me. She does this. None of this stuff hurts her." We also we get a documentary in the supplements on Giulietta Messina called "The Power of a Smile." Now this is actually on the Nights of Cabiria, disc in the set, so it's not on the La Strada disc. And this is a compilation of all the of Messina's career, a lot of the interviews that she gave, and she's actually asked point blank, "How did you ever put up with Fellini all these years?" And she said, "Well, you know, we were a couple, we weren't a family." And some of her friends said that their relationship evolved into sort of brother sister, or some said that Fellini kind of looked at her as just a mother figure. But you know, relationships are complicated, and then certainly that one was. And the relationships between men and women throughout Fellini's films, they don't seem to be a very satisfying experience. And then we get a documentary that was on the box set disc, and that's called Fellini's Autobiography. Again, a similar type documentary where we see clips from films throughout his career. The best part of this documentary is probably watching him direct and answering questions while he was filming a famous scene from La Dolce Vita. This is the scene where Anita Ekberg goes into the fountain. And then also we get an essay in this recent Blu-ray single edition by Criterion Nuland. This is the only new element of this release. This was not in the box set, this essay, but I managed to read it because it is available on the Criterion.com. If you go to the Current, that's their online magazine, the essay is prominently featured there. And it's a good one, and it's a movie that an essay that you know is properly respectful of Fellini. I guess I'm not being properly respectful of his greatness, but again, that's just my engagement with Fellini, but you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going through that box set because I often wondered, why do I never want to rewatch Fellini movies? That I never really did. You know, I saw all of them on their the later ones on their original release, I guess from about Juliet of the Spirits on, and I saw all the rest of them in repertory theaters and film societies and such. But I never bought any of them on DVD until that box set. My curiosity of why I couldn't relate to Fellini got the best of me, but I enjoyed, you know, that I enjoy the engagement. I don't have to watch movies that I love. And sometimes I think I learn more about my own personal reactions to movies by watching movies that I don't, you know, that I struggle, you know, to relate to. I find it an interesting experience, and again, the saving grace for me for Fellini is just the visual power of his films. Okay, so that'll wrap up this video, and thanks as always for everybody who managed to stay with me. I really do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. You guys take care.